Hey everybody, welcome to Full-Time Bodybuilding TV. And I'm very excited to introduce to you guys a brand new segment that we're gonna have here on the show. I like to call this Kim's Kick-Ass Cooking Show. So this is my girl Kim. She actually is really good at coming up with excellent recipes that you guys can use, because we all know that the bodybuilding type diet, healthy diets, can sometimes get a little boring. So she knows how to really flavor foods and make them unique and make them very appetizing. So we're gonna have a segment regularly on this show where she does all kinds of different, combinations of foods, but they're all gonna be macro friendly. They're all gonna be for muscle building, fat reducing, but they're gonna taste delicious. And I'm just gonna ask her right now, what are we cooking today?
Today we're gonna do shrimp two ways. We're gonna do a carb meal and I'm calling a keto meal, so it'll have added fats.
Okay, so one thing that Kim wanted me to explain is the way we count our macros when I do diets for her, myself, and all my clients. So a lot of people, they'll do, for example, they'll take a carbohydrate and they will actually count whatever small amount of proteins might be in the carbohydrate and they'll add that to the protein count. I don't do that. So basically what I do is a protein is a protein, and that just counts towards the protein part of the macronutrients. So you're talking about your turkey, your fish, red meat, that kind of stuff. With the carbohydrates, whether it be oatmeal or rice or quinoa, whatever you're using, I just use the carbohydrates that are in those foods to count towards the macros. And the same thing with fats, even when it's something like peanut butter or nuts that do have some proteins in it, I don't really count those proteins as part of the protein, so those are just the fats. So I just want to explain that to you, because what she's gonna do, Kim is gonna cook today a meal according to her macros that she might use for her diet. So all you guys are gonna have to do out there, depending on your body weight and what you're trying to accomplish, is just adjust the portion size a little bit so you can make the meal work in your food schedule for whatever goals you're trying to accomplish. So I'm gonna get out of here now and I'm gonna let her start cooking this delicious meal. I hope you guys enjoy this segment because we got many more to come. It's all on you, Kim.
Thank you. Okay, so the shrimp two ways, we're gonna do shrimp with carbs. I like to do shrimp with pasta. Typical pasta is not typically bodybuilding friendly, so we always do brown rice pasta. There's a lot of different kinds you can choose from. There's spaghetti style, rotini, and today I'm gonna be using the penne pasta. I already had measured out exactly what I need for 45 grams of carbs. So,
and what would that be as far as grams, or is it
this
a cup?
Is 48 grams.
Okay.
It's about 2/3 of a cup.
Okay.
Plus or minus a little bit. All you have to do is look at the nutritional information on the back, and it'll give you how many grams of carbs for grams of weight, yeah. And then you can calculate it to whatever grams of carbs that you need for that meal. So that's what I weighed out for 45 grams of carbs, about 2/3 of a cup. And then with the shrimp I'm gonna do, I don't have whole garlic today, I forgot it. So we're gonna do garlic powder. And I like my food a little bit spicy, so we're gonna add some crushed red pepper at the end. And then for a really good twist, you add nutritional yeast. It actually gives it a little bit of a cheesy flavor. So it's almost like a sauce that you have on the shrimp and the pasta. So that's the pasta dish. And then for the keto-friendly shrimp, we're gonna do my shrimp tacos. Instead of regular tortillas, we're actually gonna use butter lettuce. You can get this in the store. I prefer everything organic. Get it open. And I usually layer them. I've got a couple actually already prepped here. You layer them 2 or 3 because they tend to rip a little bit. That way you can layer up and everything stays together when you eat it. I'm gonna be making some homemade guacamole, and then we're gonna add the shrimp to that. So those are our shrimp two ways today. And just hope I don't cut a finger off.
That would look really real.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim, tell me why you started. I mean, obviously you've been competing for a few years and stuff, but were you good about making food like that before, or what did you decide to start working on all those great recipes for yourself?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Actually, love making everything from scratch. I kind of grew up eating that way. My dad always had a really huge vegetable garden in his yard. And so he always cooked everything from scratch. And that's kind of the food that I grew up on. But even before I had started bodybuilding, I always would scour the internet and magazines to try to find clean eating recipes because I love making everything from scratch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So do you actually write down the recipes to keep them, or it's all stored in your head?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
If it's something that everybody really likes, I'll write it down so I don't forget.
All right. Well, I hope you're gonna keep researching, and because we're gonna try to do this segment on a regular basis. So I'm thinking at least once a month would be great. But
yeah.
I really think it's gonna be a big add-on to the platform, because so many people, first of all, don't really know, especially if you're getting into the sport, you don't really know what to eat. And when you do know what to eat, it's just so. I mean, I remember eating boiled chicken, at the beginning.
That's what I was saying. It could be boring. It could be very boring.
Oh.
Sometimes they eat the same food all the time. But she's got all these great recipes, and I see her. I'm pretty much a boring eater, but every day I see her making these things, and I'm like, they look like they're out of restaurants,
She's not cooking for you?
I mean, she cooks.
He's very picky. I'm not the kind of person that can eat the same thing all the time and be
Right.
happy. I get bored after a while.
I think that's great that it's like that, because I was just going to say, bodybuilding diet can become really monotonous and boring and over and over the same thing. But if you actually make something that's yummy to eat, that looks pretty, that looks good, you actually want to eat your food,
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's really, really funny. I know, I'm still here on camera.
I hope we can hear you.
Well, hopefully I'm going to talk loud. So it's funny because a lot of people that I work with, when I send them their diets, they'll send back to me like, hey, do you have any really good recipes for chicken? Or any recipes for, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh man, I'm not the recipe guy, but a show like this,
Yes.
I can say, hey, go watch Kim.
Yes.
She's got a great recipe for shrimp pasta,
Yeah.
whatever like
Yeah.
that. So it really it matters to people, and it's important.
Yeah, and I really think over time, once we have a few episodes of this, it's going to become a huge asset to the platform, because everybody wants to try to eat good food and yummy food, but if you don't know how to prepare it, and we've had that talk off camera like so many times, like, oh my God, I wish I could afford a real chef to cook for me. So, so there you go. Now we have the chef, and it'll be great.
I think something that's so common in people that, just people that I meet at the gym all the time, that find out I'm a competitor, they say, oh, I could never stick to that diet. That's always the hardest part for anybody is food.
Of course.
So if you find things that you like that you can make at home, I think it makes it a lot easier, because being prepared is always the most important part. If you're not prepared, then it's easier
to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
Kim, I think you should just describe what are you doing now, in each little segment here, because I wouldn't even know.
So she cut. So far, she cut the onions
I minced the onion.
Yeah.
Using a red onion. And then I opened up 2 avocados and de-pitted them. And they're pretty ripe and soft, which is just how you want it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just kind of squaring them off so it's easier to scoop out. And then we're going to add lime juice, because avocados get brown and gross pretty quick. And the citrus keeps it from getting brown.
Preventing that. Okay, good. Wow, homemade guacamole. That's cool. She goes all out when she cooks. Nice.
And the good thing is you can make a batch of it and then use it from several meals, right?
Yeah.
I do lots of meal prepping, especially when I'm getting ready to compete. I meal prep usually twice a week.
What days?
Sundays, always. And usually Wednesdays, because that's about when I'm running out again. Just depending on how much I'm able to get done on Sundays.
And how long does that take to meal prep? Twice a week?
Usually about 3 hours total.
Each day? Oh, okay.
It just depends on how much I'm making, what I have time for in my schedule.
Mm-hmm. But so an hour and a half each time?
No, usually 3 hours each time, because I'll do protein. So I'll cook a big batch of turkey, like the 3-pound packages of ground turkey. I'll do chicken, the leanest ground beef you can find. Sometimes I'll do a batch of shrimp, which is pretty fast, but I'll also prep a bunch of lettuce for salads or toppings on some of the meals that I'll probably be making later. And then I do a big batch of carbs. So I'll do sweet potatoes in the oven, do a big pot of rice. So all that with cleanup is a couple hours.
Okay.
But that lasts for the whole week, right?
Usually about the whole week.
Yeah.
Just want to
Nice
mash
and
it.
mushy.
Yep. Probably would have been easier with a fork, but that's okay. And then we're going to add some lime. You smash the lime like that and roll it back and forth, it gets all the juices out.
Oh, I was
So it
wondering
makes
why.
it easier to squeeze.
Okay, that's why.
Good. You can also add tomato or pico de gallo to this. And then I'm also going to include some garlic powder. And some salt and pepper here.
That was only 2 avocados. That makes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yum.
there's our guac.
All right.
And then it sounds like our water is boiling for the pasta, so I'm going to throw
Alright.
that in soon.
All right.
All right, so the water's ready. We're going to add our brown rice pasta. Brown rice pasta tends to take a little bit longer to cook than traditional pasta, so you want to give it probably like a good 12 to 15 minutes, but just check it every so often. And I always add salt to my water. It helps make it taste better, I think. All right, and then we got our pan ready. Shrimp cooks pretty fast. I just got mine frozen and then took the tails off, made sure that they were nice and peeled. I always add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil spray. I hope this is not going to be empty. There we go. That's almost done.
You preheated your pans. Yeah. Nice and
Well, I didn't give it much time, but it's a little bit preheated. You usually want to drain as much of the water out as possible so it doesn't splatter everywhere. And shrimp is pretty fast. Cooks about 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just adding some garlic seasoning since I don't have fresh garlic today.
Do you cook it on medium or?
Yeah, it's about a medium high heat.
Okay.
I usually like to use tongs because then you can flip them all over and make sure both sides get cooked.
That's a lot of shrimp.
I did. I did a whole package.
How many pounds is that?
6 pounds. 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 6 po probably about 3 to 5 pounds.
Okay,
I don't remember. I have to look at the package to remember. But the good thing is you can cook a lot and meal prep a bunch, and then you just weigh out whatever you need for that meal, and then you have leftover for other meals. So, and you can see that it's already starting to turn. It's usually like a gray translucent color when it's raw, and then as it starts to cook, it gets a little pink. So it cooks through here really fast.
Nice.
Bob SquarePants.
Is that what it says? Oh, I remember.
2
2
minutes
minutes
later.
Yeah. You're terrible. So it's been 2 minutes.
Yep, about 2 minutes
Look at
later.
that.
Now it's all nice and pink. Everything's cooked.
So you pretty much just have the time to turn them all around, and that's it.
Yeah, just want to
Flip
flip them,
'em.
make sure each side gets cooked, and when they're pink, whitish pink, then they're ready to go. Pretty fast.
Yep.
I think we're still waiting on our brown rice pasta. We were talking off camera about brown rice pasta. It's really easy to eat. It's super good. The hard part is that if you have to measure your macros, it's hard to make a batch of it to eat later. I mean, you can, but then you're measuring it before and after you cook it, right? Because it weighs differently before and after cooking.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So basically, and this is a mistake I used to make at the beginning before I met Eric. A lot of time I would cook my food uncooked. And that's not the way to go, right? Especially for protein, because once you cook it, it reduces. So what would be 8 ounces uncooked sometimes will end up being like 6 ounces or 6.5 ounces cooked.
Right.
So it's always important if you measure your macro to count your protein fully cooked.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. But not so much with I guess it depends. I guess pasta you would count dry. You measure it dry,
That's
right?
the way that I've done it. Yeah.
Not rice. Rice you measure it cooked.
Measure it cooked.
So see, sometimes it's like unless you know that stuff, it's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it could be easy to think you're getting the right amount of macros,
Yes.
but actually you're either way under or over.
You're off.
Depending on, when you're measuring it and how you're measuring it. Because a lot of people think, oh, just a cup of rice, but everybody packs a cup of rice differently, right? So
I was
you have
gonna
to
say
actually
that.
put it on the scale.
That's
and
right.
see how much it weighs.
That's right. Yeah, because you could do 1 cup loose, or you could do 1 cup compacted, and it's a lot more carbs that way.
Exactly right.
Yeah. I'm glad we're
Which
talking about
I
that.
guess if you're not competing, it maybe isn't as big of a deal, right? You can punch the
Right.
numbers one way or the other. But specifically for prep, when your macros have to be exactly right, and you're eating 5 meals a day,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you measure.
Because a lot of
properly.
people will say, well, why don't you, and Jay used to tell me that, he said, why don't you just highball it? If you've done it long enough, you know, and I'm like, I can't do it. And
Yeah.
I would bring my scale to a restaurant just to make sure what they're giving me is actually what it is.
Yep.
And a lot of time it's not.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, it's 6 ounces of beef. And you're like, hey, it's 4.5 ounces. So
Yeah,
I
because
would-
maybe they measure it before they cook it.
boom. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. How much more time do you think we have on the pasta? Did you put a timer?
I did not put on a timer, but I should have.
So you'll just taste it?
Yeah, I'll just do a taste test and
Okay.
see how much longer it has. That's done.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
All right.
All right, so the pasta's done. Put that in first. Unfortunately, it's 45 grams of carbs. It doesn't make a whole lot. The brown rice pasta is very macro dense.
Yeah.
Yes, so you don't get a lot of it, but it still fills the belly, right? And then we're gonna weigh out. For 30 grams of protein, we're gonna need 5 ounces of shrimp, which actually does give you a lot. Let's see if we can find a smaller one. There we go, 5 ounces of shrimp. And then I'm just gonna top it off with some chili flakes, red pepper flakes for a little bit of spice. Oops, I forgot to open this. And a little bit of that nutritional yeast. It's actually really good for you, really good for your gut, but also gives it like a nice cheesy flavor.
Wow. Awesome.
Right. So next we're gonna do the keto tacos. Put my plate on here, zero it out. And we're gonna be doing 30 grams of protein, just the same, right? It's about 5 ounces of shrimp. Here we go. And we have leftovers for other meals.
Nice.
And then we're gonna do 14 grams of fat,
Okay.
which is 4 ounces of avocado or the guacamole that we made. So you get a nice good dollop on each one. Will kind of also help everything stick together.
Right.
Otherwise it can get a little messy.
It's the glue.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, and that's 4 ounces there. And there are our
Wow.
keto shrimp tacos.
It looks beautiful. Very appetizing.
All right, now you get to taste test, Dave.
Which one are you gonna eat? You eat this one.
I'm gonna have the shrimp tacos because I've already had my carbs for the
All
day.
right. Kim, thanks so much for doing the very first recipe on Full Time Bodybuilding TV. I'm very excited. So write down your recipes if you haven't started doing that already.
I will.
Because I think people are going to be really excited to see what else you come up with next.
We'll see what we have next month.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.